Let's go ahead and give everybody a round of applause. Let's give those men that sung this morning. I think they did an excellent job. And you'll be seeing more of the men. Amen. Amen. I want to thank God for the program committee. Amen. Let's give us a personal hand. So quickly, amen, putting everything structurally together. Amen. That's about maybe 25 to 30 hours what we spent together on the flyers and going to the enamels, and the rest of the enamels will be out on next week. And I want to thank God for that. Let's give Brother John of the Pope there that cooked the breakfast a hand. Amen. And they did a good job with the breakfast. Amen. I want to say that it was one of the best breakfasts that we had. Amen. I'm excited. I want to thank God for Brother Lawrence. Let's give him a round of applause. He's been working with us. Amen. Making sure everything is done in order. Amen. So we thank God. Now let's give all self a hand today. Amen. Amen. We enjoy Sister Erin. Amen. If you notice the last flyer that we gave out, amen, if someone had it, it was the flyer on the witnessing flyer. Amen. Who has that particular flyer? It's the one that we gave out with the different colors. This particular flyer is the one that, amen, we're excited about. Amen. We're excited about this flyer. Amen. Here. I started this morning dropping them off in different motels so that people can come to church. Amen. And this week I'll be dropping off in banks. I'll be dropping off. I'm going to do what I did before I came back to Birmingham when my wife came to Charleston, South Carolina, and I was up there for 6 months preaching. And she said, well, I'm not going up there. I said, well, you don't have to go. When you come, you'll see something totally different. And in 6 months' time, when she came, we had a line from here down to the corner, people crying because they didn't want me to leave. And she seen something she never witnessed before, because I went to Charleston and I began to preach the gospel about Jesus, but I began to love on people and care for people, and God began to bring dope dealers off the street, prostitutes, bankers, and everybody. Amen. Never will forget, my wife car broke down. She decided she will come up there to see and check on me, and her transmission, her engine went out. And she said, how am I going to get my car fixed? And that ain't no problem. I got a relationship with the bank. I said, I've been ministering to this Caucasian girl since I've been up here in the bank. She's been nice. I said, I'm sure I can go ask her for a loan and pay her back when I get to Birmingham. My wife said, you believe she's going to do that? I said, well, I walk by faith. I know she's going to do that. And she looked around. The young lady that gave us the $1,500 that we needed. Amen. I built a relationship, amen, when I was in Charleston. Amen. I hired one woman just to cook for all of my meals. Amen. I never ate too much of her cooking, but she cooked for all my meals. Amen. We had church on the job. We had church in the community. We had church in Puget Sound. We had church in Mount Pleasant. We had church. And people was being saved and people was being delivered. Amen. Look at somebody and say, let's have church.
Let's have church.
And that's what we want to do, amen. Amen. We want to do that. We want to have church, amen. We're not trying to be so righteous today. We just want to have church, amen. Can you tap two people and say, let's have church? Let's give all the young people, and the young babies a hand today, amen. Starting next Sunday, we'll be on the radio, amen. We'll be on WATV, amen. I'm taking the gospel by radio, by television, whatever I have to do to get the message out. We will get the message out. We're on, brother Pearson already got us on YouTube, amen. Amen. Our sermon on last Sunday is on YouTube, amen. I'm excited about that. Amen. I'm excited about that. We're going to change the way YouTube do business. Amen. We're going to change the way they do business. And we're going to do business with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Amen. Look at somebody and say, it ain't do that, amen. I'm just glad I did it, and I had to beg, and I had to ask nobody, but I really gave cash money and I did that. I'm excited about the Lord, amen. How many is excited about the Lord, amen? I want to talk today out of the book of Jeremiah. You know, in order to understand this message, you got to understand last Sunday message was a message to give you a form of hope. But today I want to talk about a little boy by the name of Jeremiah. See, a lot of y'all study the prophets, you study the minor prophets, and you talk about Ezekiel, and you talk about the book of Lamentation, but you don't get the right understanding about the book of Jeremiah. You need to understand that when God got ready to do something in Jeremiah's life, God had to put a witness on the inside of him. Anybody gonna go with me? See, in order for Jeremiah to become the weeping prophet, he had to understand on the inside of him, God had placed a mighty gospel on the inside. And then I began to unravel the book of Jeremiah, began to go in the first chapter and tell God, say, God, now you show me this man Jeremiah. You show me what he's all about. Show me what you called him to do. And God said to Jeremiah in verse 5 in chapter 1, he said, before I formed thee in thy belly, I already knew thee. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Before you came out of your mother's womb, before you began to ride a bicycle, before you began to get your driving license, your learning permit, I already knew you. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Before you begin to do something that some of the young folk cannot comprehend, you begin to bake a fire. You didn't use no coal, but you used coke. It was the same coke that come out L&N railroad station. It is called coke because you can take coke and you can put it in the fireplace. In the morning, you can stick the poking iron in it, and the fire ablaze back up. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. And Jeremiah said, it's just like fire. Shut up in my bone. You gotta know when the fire of God is on the inside of you. When the fire of God is on the inside of you, it's gonna burn up all impurity. It's gonna burn up all doubt. It's gonna burn up all that stuff that's hindering you from going forward. So God began to talk to this prophet, and he began to say, you need to understand what Isaiah was talking about in 30 and 8 and 9 and 10. He said, before I can preach this message today, I want to hear one word from the Lord. You need to understand the eagle-eyed prophet. You need to understand what Isaiah was talking about when he said in the 30th chapter of Isaiah, he said, say to the seal, see not. He said, prophesy not unto us smooth things. In other words, I don't want to know the truth. I don't want you to tell me the truth. I want you to tell me some smooth things. But God said, I'm going to cause another man of God named Jeremiah, and I'm going to put my word on the inside of Jeremiah. When Babylonian was down there and they was in captivity for 70 long years, you know the story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, a bad Negro. You know the story how King Zedekiah, he was down there and they put out his eyes. But in this text today, it deals with Jeremiah, a weeping prophet, a man crying out to God, crying out for the people of God, crying out for the pastors, the mothers, and everybody else. And God began to say something to Jeremiah. He said, now that I have formed something on the inside of you, now I have put my word on the inside of you, now I'm going to ordain you to be a prophet.